Coast to coast, border to border, and around the world, it's time for The Bill Alexander Show. The Bill Alexander Show is a guest-driven program where the topics are diverse and entertaining. Laugh and learn while you listen to one of the best hours of online radio. Now, here's your host, Bill Alexander.
Hi everyone, yours truly, William Eric Alexander. All my friends call me Bill, and welcome to this edition of the Bill Alexander Show. Boy, do I have a treat for you today. Let's see, you probably know this individual from General Hospital, maybe Dawson's Creek, or my younger audience knows her from the TV program Jessie. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Carolyn Hennesy. Carolyn, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, you brought up a few old chestnuts there. I like that.
I am so glad you're able to take time to be a part of the program today. And what was interesting is I was going through some of your bio before we got started, and I'm going, wow, this woman has pretty much done everything from the TV program The Middle to the Cougar Club to, let's see, what else? There's Fatal Affair.
Yeah, don't forget, right? And Cougar Town,
That's right.
For heaven's sakes,
And
I do a lot of things with cougars.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought that was quite interesting. But again, it's kind of fun to have you on the program because when I look at your background, I really wasn't introduced to you because I have my oldest son is 22, who is also an actor. I have an 18-year-old and I have a 14-year-old. And I was introduced to you through the TV program Jessie. So, again, it was like...
For which I apologize.
Well, no, actually, I enjoyed the program. I really did.
Good. Well, good.
But what I thought was interesting about the program is why does Disney programs seem like they only run 4 years?
Listen, Jessie was an anomaly in that it ran 4 years. Most of the programs at that point ran 3 years.
Oh, really?
And I think Jessie was one of the very first and few to get a fourth season because it was so beloved. And really, we kind of went out at the top of our game. I think it has to do with money. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure exactly how. But I think it just became, almost prohibitively more expensive after 3 years.
Okay.
And again, I don't know how, but that's what I was led to believe. And therefore it is again a testament to how much Jessie was beloved all over, and still is that they gave it that fourth year.
Because I also thought it had to do with the age of the audience, that the audience was actually aging out for the program, and it was time to go back and recreate.
No, I don't think so. I think that the newer audience, because don't forget at that point that you could stream it.
Okay,
and
you're right.
And the newer audiences could stream it, and then and get caught up very quickly, and then No, I don't think it's the age of the audience because there's always a fresh crop,
Oh, I got you.
So, yeah.
So I'm also looking at this. You've also done a lot of voiceover work too.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm right in the middle of one of the best gigs ever, and that's for Nickelodeon, streaming on Paramount Plus, but soon to go back to Nickelodeon, and that's Big Nate.
Oh, really?
Big
okay.
Nate. Yeah. I play his nemesis. Nate is this fabulous fourth grader with all of his wonderful friends, and he's just awesome, or thinks he is. And I play Mrs. Godfrey. One of his nemesis teachers.
Yes.
The big one, the big bad.
The big one.
So
okay.
that's a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's what I find interesting. You seem to me that looking at your cast of characters, you always play that one that just may be a little bit, I don't want to say evil, but a little bit wicked.
Because a lot of them are.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Except when I don't.
Well, yeah, of course.
When they're really lovely. You're right. No, seriously. It's like you would look at Diane Miller from General Hospital and just go, nope, not wicked at all. Yeah. Wonderful and kind of fun and sort of the voice of the Greek chorus for the audience. And she's been my longest running to date, but the ones that are the most fun are of course the snakes.
Right.
The snakes that I've gotten to play. Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently I do it well. And I don't know what that says about me.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what that says. Well, I don't know. They say act, write what you know, act what you know.
Right.
Like, well, am I that evil, really?
So when you look back at your career and everything else, and you've done soap operas for a long period of time, which would you rather do, a daily soap opera or something that is done weekly?
Probably weekly. The character arcs can be a little more fast paced and a little larger. And I've only actually done one soap opera, and
okay.
I mean really for any length of time, and that's General Hospital, and I'm in my 16th year.
Wow.
Doing that, yes. But that's there again. Diane Miller is not a regular character on the canvas.
Okay.
And she's just what they call a heavy duty recur, and she's also happens to be a fan favorite because the General Hospital fans are smart. So I think I would much rather do a weekly because the stories change, and we get to kind of experience new things. You would on a weekly basis, and that's a little more refreshing. It's a little more challenging too. How are we gonna deal with something this week as opposed to we're coming to the tail end of the story and it's been 3 months and
right.
we kind of say we reiterate the same things a lot and from one episode to the next. And again, don't get me wrong, I love General Hospital. It's the gift that keeps on giving, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
To me. And I always like to think that what I'm saying or doing is challenging for me. It's a lot of fun for me. And so if it's fun for me, it's going to be fun for the players that I play with and the audience. And Diane is very much one of the bits of, she's pretty much the comic relief on General Hospital, while at the same time being very smart and having a lot of gravitas to her. So again, I love doing it, but a weekly something or other would be a lot of fun.
So I noticed that you were on one program twice, about 5 years apart, and that was the 70s show. How do you do that?
I was the only I was actually the only actress to be on that show. Wait a minute. At the time that I was cast, I was at that point the only actress to ever do two different roles on the 70s show. I think maybe as time went on, they maybe asked some others. I don't know. You have to ask the producer.
I like that. I don't know.
How I did it.
That's funny.
I have no idea how I did it.
So if someone came up to you and said, Carolyn, we want to give you a weekly sitcom, would you take it?
Of course. Comedy's like oxygen to me. Making people laugh. That's why I live.
Right.
And a weekly sitcom, oh my goodness, that would be heaven, because you get the best of both worlds. You
right.
get unless we're in the middle of a pandemic,
right.
and the studio audiences are not there, you get the best of both worlds. It's like being in a play that you're putting on tape and is then going to be sent out, all over the country and all over the world. But you have that initial, that wonderful rush of hearing the audience reaction when you're saying something for the first time, and laughing, legitimately. And there's nothing like that. So of course I would do a sitcom. Sitcoms are, and a great sitcom, it's worth its weight in gold. Truly, truly.
Has anybody approached you about doing one?
Well, not me personally. I like a sitcom for me,
okay.
but I've been on a lot of sitcoms.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
because I think
not yet, but hopefully soon.
That's what I was going to say, because you have done so many different types of roles that I'm surprised no one has approached. Yeah, and they've all been successful too. And I could understand if they tanked, but they haven't.
Right, and you could also understand if I was like not a known commodity. Well, that isn't me. I'm pretty much a known commodity. You kind of know what you're going to get, right? So yeah, I would think I would be terrific.
Oh.
I mean, I would think somebody should offer me a sitcom.
Well, I think
let's just put it that way.
If you want, I'll start marketing for you. I think that's a great idea.
Please do. Please do. I'm counting on you, my friend.
Well, I'm glad. I will do my best to see what I can do for you. But again, it's just one of those situations where you have a face that people recognize. They may not recognize your name, but they know who you are. Now, do people approach you in public?
Oh, of course. Oh, sure, yeah.
And
yeah, the kids still approach me in public. The kids who are now like on the, watching Jessie,
right?
In its like fifth incarnation.
Yeah.
But also kids in like their 20s. It's like, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you were my childhood."
Right.
Like, well, I'm glad. And a lot of people. A lot of the wonderful fans from General Hospital will approach me, and then I get a lot of True Blood and Cougar Town, and sometimes a Revenge here and there. So yeah, people come up to me all the time.
I think that is downright amazing. I really do, because I think that says something about you, that people that watched you on Disney Channel, and a lot of people think the Disney Channel is just an overglorified commercial for the corporation. But if they remember an individual that they watch day in and day out and then actually come up to see them, I think that's special. I really do.
It is, and it's a lot of fun for me. But also, don't forget, I mean, Jessie wasn't the first thing I ever did.
Right. Oh, no, I know that.
So right. But people have been kind of seeing me around for a while. If you know, right? Yeah, right. I'm like the bad penny that just keeps turning up.
Well, Carolyn, we got to take a brief break, and we'll come back with more conversation. Welcome back to this edition of the Bill Alexander Show. On the phone line, I have Carolyn Hennesy with me. Now, Carolyn, everybody seems like they have a podcast, and you're not excluded. You do too.
I do. I mean, listen, I'm not going to be at the tail end of this vanguard. Please, I'm getting right in there. Yes, and actually, the one that I've got now is my second podcast.
Okay.
My first was I think we had it for about 6 years, and it was called Animal Magnetism. And you can still go back on my YouTube channel and find those animal magnetism shows, and they're wonderful because it's all about animal advocacy, preservation, and conservation. From a real world standpoint, not as I say a batshit crazy activist standpoint. So again, truly, because there's a big difference between advocates and activists.
Right.
And so I am very, very much an advocate. And then during the pandemic, we sort of rethought that and came up with a reformatted podcast called Life, Love, and Conservation. So we've got 10 minutes of a life topic and 10 minutes of a love topic, and then 10 minutes of a conservation topic. So that's what I'm doing now.
So what drew you to the whole idea of doing a podcast? Was it that you've always wanted your own quote unquote talk program, or did it was just something that you thought you could do in your free time and enjoy it at the same time?
No, it was certainly with animal magnetism. It was the idea of getting a very, extremely important message out there. And that is that, animals don't need us, but we need them. Right. So let's take care of them, and let's try and, again, preserve and conserve species and treat them as humanely as possible. And that very often means we treat them better than we treat ourselves. Right. So that was because I was made so aware of that from my animal advocacy mentor, a man named Dr. Grace Stafford, and we're coming up on 8 billion people on this planet, and we need to start figuring out how we're going to peacefully coexist, because if we don't, we're all doomed. You know what I mean?
I
mean, once the big metaterrestrials go, the rhinos and
right.
and the elephants and then we're simply not far behind. We're just not far behind. And so that's yeah.
Because I think it's interesting because even, and I know you talk the rhinos and the larger animals, but where I live in southwestern Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh, you start to see what urban sprawl has done to an area. And that residential outside of small towns and cities, even where there's home, you're being overrun by deer. And it's not because it's something new. It was there. They were there first. And that's where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And it's just a shame because people are eliminating them.
I know, and there's of course there's the excuse or the rationale that, well, the overpopulation of deer and so on and so forth. It's like, yeah, well, if the overpopulation of deer, that's what's meant to be. Now, if those herds are sick, if those populations are in trouble, or if it is sometimes you can try to save one particular population of a species by culling, but those are you have to think those things through. So I don't know if the deer are overpopulated in your area. I don't know if a study has been done that says, yeah, okay, here's the hunting season, go and do this, because oftentimes it comes down to a question of, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the ones. Right. So you have to think logically, rationally, and factually about animal advocacy.
So a question for you that just popped in my mind when you said that is these in the Northwest, you have these areas where they bring in animals and they do hunts with them in a confined area, which I don't understand how that's a sport.
Well,
and I just think it's very inhumane is what it is.
Well, here's the thing. It's not a sport. It's not a sport. It's for men with tiny appendages to go out and hoist a gun and feel good about themselves. Now, but you counter that with something like, for instance, what they do in Texas. I think there are farms in Oklahoma where you have, for instance, the scimitar horned oryx.
Okay.
That's a type of an antelope off of the out of the African continent, and it was damn near extinct in the wild, but they brought it here. They bred like rabbits or like scimitar horned oryx will do.
Okay.
And these populations are thriving. Now, how are they going to feed these populations? Well, they offer a canned hunt, and so they will take maybe the not one who is a little sick or one who is a little aged, etc. And they charge a boatload for someone to come in and unfortunately kill that animal, and then that money goes to feeding, housing, caring, breeding the rest of that population. And there are certain populations of antelopes, other species that are part of these farms, that are raised by these farms, that have now been introduced back into the wild. So, is it inhumane? Yeah. Is it going? Money that's spent, is it going to a greater good? You bet. So as much as I hate the idea of a human raising a gun against an animal, except in self-defense, you have to look at the big picture. You've got to, because now when we are able, don't forget there's no more wild. There are no more wild spaces. We've pretty much explored everything on this planet except including the Marianas Trench. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, so there are no more wild spaces. So, and humans are encroaching. I mean, they're encroaching into the elephant Great Migration route. They're encroaching, in Pennsylvania, and it's not the animal's fault. But when we are able to reintroduce these antelopes, these species back into the wild, and we can, then yeah, we've got those populations because someone had, kind of a twisted and interesting idea. Hey, let's shoot one, and then the rest will thrive. Is it ideal? Of course not. Of course not. But is it working? It seems to be. So, again, big picture. We have to look at big picture.
So another question for you, which I guess it was during the pandemic, a program was on Netflix that came out of nowhere that was dealing with Joe Exotic and these tigers that he was raising. And in that situation, is there ever a good situation to have tigers in captivity?
In human care where it is, now wait a minute. Now, captivity and Joe Exotic and captivity is different than an accredited zoo or zoological facility. So let's just be real clear about that.
Okay.
Joe Exotic, absolutely not.
Okay.
Anything that even approaches a Joe Exotic, close it down.
Okay.
An accredited zoo or zoological facility, you bet. Because, again, in the wild, these species are being decimated. And I don't care how well Joe Exotic takes care of his, and from what I understand, I wouldn't watch Tiger King. I mean, what's the point? There's no point. And because it really wasn't even about the tigers, it was about this woman trying to shut him down. I don't know. I don't even care. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
Joe Exotic, no. But, the Los Angeles Zoo, you bet. And any of a number, and any AZA or ZAA accredited facility, yes, because we have the gene pools. We've got the actual animals. We've got, to be a little bit graphic, we have the sperm and the egg from multiple sources, so that if and when humanity stops losing its mind and stops, catering to the Joe Exotics or catering to temples in India that trot out the tigers, for pictures and if we stop losing our minds and realize that these animals simply need to be in the wild and to stop hunting them, because guess what? The tiger penis is not an aphrodisiac. It does not enhance male virility. Seriously, because there are some, shall we say, backwards thinking mindset in certain areas of the world that think that they think it does. They think the rhino horn is something other than just a basically large fingernail. That does nothing for you. That shark fin soup that does something for you. It does nothing for you. Mm-hmm. It just mutilates and it just slaughters sharks. So if we ever get to a point where we start becoming thinking individuals again all over the planet, we have the gene pools and we've got these species because they are in accredited zoological facilities, and we can repopulate. And we can all, kind of go on living our lives. We'll never be able to walk down Main Street hand in hand with tigers and elephants.
Of course.
But if we start really becoming smart, caring, fact-driven stewards of this planet, then we all stand a much better chance. So there you go.
So what organizations, if somebody wants to help out and try to put money in the right locations, what organizations are out there that they can help?
First of all, American Humane.
Okay.
American Humane is the oldest and it's the best. And so much, I think it's 98 cents of the dollars of every dollar that they receive goes to animal care, helping animals in floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, rescuing animals out of dire situations that humans have put them in. So American Humane, number one.
Okay.
For me, it would be my Los Angeles Zoo, because what they are doing internationally, global outreach conservation programs, as well as their incredible, just state-of-the-art facility that they've got here, in Griffith Park. But internationally, and because I'm a huge elephant fan, so I would look at Elephant Nature Park, right outside of Chiang Mai, run by a woman named Lek Chilert. So look at Elephant Nature Park in Thailand. But there again, go do some research, call American Humane and say, hey, you know, in addition to you, what are the international charities that you like? Where should we put our dollars?
Right.
And they will, I think they will tell you. You can also charitymeter.com, and they rate them, 5 stars to 1 star. But if you've just got a few pennies and you wanna think locally and act locally, everyone within the sound of your voice, go to your local zoo and say, I want to donate. And this is what I want to donate to. Take a trip to your local zoo and say, I want to learn about this and why you're doing this. This doesn't look right. Please explain to me why it is. This looks great. Oh, but you'd like to make it better? Okay. And donate to your local zoo, provided it is a AZA accredited facility.
Okay.
And if you see a roadside attraction, do your best to shut it down.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. That's very interesting.
There you go.
So what got you involved with working with these organizations and getting the word out about protecting them and doing
Sure.
what you can?
Sure. Yeah, it's a fun story. Because of my fan base, and this was about, again, 16 years ago,
Okay.
I just started on General Hospital, and my fan base was accruing rather fast, and a woman thinking she was doing a good thing sent me a video, and she said, boycott Ringling Brothers. They abuse their elephants. And I watched this video and I said, boy, do they ever. And I sent this video out and I said, boycott Ringling Brothers. And very soon thereafter, a gentleman, Gray Stafford, my now animal mentor, he and his wife love General Hospital, and he's also one of the foremost animal advocates on the planet. He was basically like Jack Hanna's protege. And so he was very smart. He reached out to me and he said, Miss Hennessy, thank you so much for, you're in Hollywood, but yet you're speaking out on behalf of animals, and we need more people like you to speak out correctly on behalf of animals. However, you might want to know this, that video that you posted that was sent to you is at that point it was 35 years old, and those training methods aren't used anymore. And Ringling Brothers has the largest in-country and best elephant breeding program in the world. They are trying to save species, and so and I went, oh my God, I just dissed an organization that is actually working for the betterment of elephants. And I said, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'm never going to speak without knowing the facts. So I contacted Gray and I said, tell me more, tell me what you know, tell me more. And he did. And I have been sitting at the knee of the master for the last 16 years and really doing my due diligence, learning, weighing both sides, seeing where I fall down, and where I fall down unanimously is on the side of advocacy.
Okay.
Because so many other organizations, I don't know, one that begins, let's say, with a P, they are stunt driven. They couldn't care less about animals. If you talk to anybody in that organization and you say, where is a piece of legislation, where is a building, where is a policy that you have, your organization has seen through start to finish, a building that works on behalf of animals. Where is it? And they can't point to anything because it's only stunt driven. So again, they to my way of thinking, and this is my opinion, they do not care about animals. I am only concerned with people who care about animals. They care about other things as far as I'm concerned. But you take something like American Humane, an accredited zoological facility. Look at sanctuaries outside of this country, like, for instance, Elephant Nature Park, and they care about are animals, because they understand the big picture, and that is once they go, we are not far behind. So saving the animals is saving ourselves.
So
it's as simple as that.
Do you think, because I remember within the last 5-10 years, that Ringling Brothers basically got rid of all their animals because of the negative press they were receiving? Are they still working with them, or did they just say, okay, we're done, there's nothing we can do for them?
No, I believe they are still working with them in their facilities.
Okay.
Or they have transferred them to accredited sanctuaries.
Okay.
But I believe, or they possibly have transferred them to accredited zoos.
Okay.
Where the elephant populations are, because elephants can bond with those that are not necessarily of their immediate family. I just know that those elephants are incredibly well protected. And yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that Ringling Brothers did not stand up for itself and say, look, when we have these animals in the ring, they are here with they've been trained with positive reinforcement training, which makes any action that you ask an animal to do is a party. Any gathering, it becomes a party because it's all in the animal's time. Positive reinforcement training means that if you actually give a command to an animal and it does not respond, you don't punish ever.
Right.
And you ignore. And it would have been such an incredible thing for thousands of people, especially the kids, in 3 shows a day at Ringling to see if one of the cats, if one of the elephants, if one of the horses just simply didn't feel like doing a particular, finishing a particular command that day. To see the trainer just go, yep, okay, it's on your time, honey, it's on your time. But they didn't stand for themselves. And I wish they had, because it would have been an incredible ambassadorship. And it would have shown kind of the glories of human-animal interaction when you use positive reinforcement training. Listen, every dog, every cat, every dung beetle, every elephant should only be cared for and trained with positive reinforcement training, period. And if your audience doesn't know what it is, please go look it up, because it is the way to go. It's just the way to go. It may take a little longer, especially if you have been used to negative training,
right.
Because your animals are now living in fear.
Mm-hmm.
So it may take a little longer but you can absolutely do it. And you get a happier, healthier, more loving animal that will do whatever you say at the end of it, and will love you for it, and will not be terrified of you.
So let me go another round with the circus and talk about you and being able to fly the trapeze.
Yes, indeed. I fly trapeze, and I also hang trapeze.
Really?
Two different disciplines. Yes. The aerial arts. I love the aerial arts, and so I do a lot of what they call static or hanging or single trapeze, and then I also fly trapeze. So there you go. Yeah, I've been doing that for about 20 years now.
So do you do this in your free time, or?
I do. Yes. The flying rig that I was at for so many years, unfortunately closed down. So now the one that I have to go to is a little ways away. So I basically am now concentrating on the hanging trapeze, because I have a rig at the end of my driveway.
Okay.
And that's easy to do.
Do the neighbors look at you odd when you're hanging there?
I don't care. Just don't care.
That's your version of yoga, right?
Oh, please. Are you kidding? It works muscles that you never knew you had.
Because
I never knew you had any of that. I mean, it's like really?
So that's a skill. How did you find out that was a skill that you had? Because I can't imagine just one day out of the blue.
I had to. Hey, I'd like to hang by my ankle. I had to do a production of Comedy of Errors at university many years ago, and it was a circus theme, and so the 2 lead females were up on hanging trapezes, and there was like a tightrope walker, and there were jugglers, and there were this and that, and so on and so forth. But the 2 lead females were on static trapezes, and it was wonderful. And spouting Shakespeare by hanging by your thumbs. So I discovered that I really loved it. Yeah, so I basically have 3 homes. I've got my home. I've got any sound stage or any theatrical stage, and then in the air. That's what I do.
That's cool.
That's where I live.
Well,
yeah.
Carolyn, I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me today and talking to my audience.
My pleasure.
I've learned so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, good. I'm sorry, and thanks to your audience for listening, and hopefully they hopefully they look at their dogs and cats differently, unless, of course, they already love them like members of the family, in which case, I was preaching to the choir.
Yeah, well,
So-
you were speaking to the choir right here, because I have a
Good.
new puppy that actually is my son's, who is now in Virginia. He had just signed 3 contracts with Busch Gardens. He's performing down there now through Christmas. And we got his dog, who is 9 months old. It's an Australian Shepherd and has more energy than we know what to do with. It's just...
Yeah. So here's the book you need to get. It's called Zoomility, Zoomility. Again, Dr. Gray Stafford. And I wouldn't push it if it weren't like, the Bible. And it will help you train anything from, your pet lizard to your pet elephant. So go get it, because it will save you.
Yep.
Zoomility, Dr. Gray Stafford, and your son will come home to the best trained pup, and probably the pup probably won't want to leave you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I can get it trained, I mean, we're getting there slowly but surely. But if it becomes trained, it's mine. There's no way I'm giving it back. So.
Oh, sure, and that's fine. And the thing is, with a book like Zoomility, you don't need to pay hundreds of dollars for a trainer, and you don't know what that trainer is doing unless you're there every step of the way. And if you can't recognize negative reinforcement training versus positive reinforcement training, you sometimes don't know what the fear that may be being instilled into that animal. So get it, read it, do it yourself.
And one thing I think is interesting, you keep saying it, and people that don't know it, within the last 20 or 30 years, that's how we started raising our kids, with positive reinforcement, because we learned that negative reinforcement didn't work. And we had more problems. So not only are you doing it with your kids, you're doing it with your fur kids now, and that makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Exactly. I mean, I sort of think that the best generation wasn't necessarily raised without a swat on the behind every once in a while. But you can't do that to your animals, and you shouldn't do.
Right.
You really shouldn't do it to your children. So there's no way, because animals truly have no voice. Mm-hmm. At least kids have got a voice. Do you know what I mean? Whether or not they know how to use it.
Right.
But animals have no voice.
Right.
So we cannot, and they utterly, thoroughly depend on us their entire lives. So we've got to make sure that we are the best, most loving, most generous, and caring caretakers of these very innocent creatures. So.
Well, Carolyn, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking today, and I'd love to have you back on the program in the future to talk about any future projects you have coming up, or any other things going on with your animal advocacy, which I think is wonderful. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And well, thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next time.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, a big thank you goes out to Carolyn Hennesy for being a part of the program today. Really enjoyed it. It was so nice to be able to talk to her about her career, her podcast, and her animal advocacy that she is doing, and also learning about the trapeze. So, Carolyn, thank you very much. Can't wait to talk to you next time. And everyone, thank you very much for listening to this edition of The Bill Alexander Show.
Thank you for listening to The Bill Alexander Show. The Bill Alexander Show is a $1 Million Baby production. For more information, go to thebillalexandershow.com.